At some point during the day, the legs begin to feel heavier. The ankles retain the imprint of your socks by late afternoon. The calves gradually harden, almost imperceptibly. This accumulation is the physiological cost of a body that spends most of its life upright against gravity, pushing blood and fluids back toward the heart hour after hour. The circulatory system sustains this silent effort every day, and the signs of wear are often mistaken for accelerated aging. This pattern follows a specific physics, and the same gravity that creates it can also be used to reverse it. What happens when blood changes direction is what this video will reveal. The adult body spends between 8 and 16 hours each day placing a continuous demand on the venous system. Every minute spent standing, every hour spent sitting with the feet on the floor, creates the same requirement. The veins of the legs must overcome the column of fluid above them. The valves must close with precision to prevent reflux, and the calves must contract with every step to push this volume back toward the heart. This mechanism operates elegantly in younger years. Over time, venous valves lose some of their efficiency. The calves become shorter and tighter, the fascia becomes less adaptable, and blood begins to accumulate in the extremities more easily. The result is perceived as fatigue that exceeds the effort performed, a sensation of aging that advances more quickly than seems reasonable, and recovery that requires increasingly more time to produce the same relief. The daily repetition of this load, year after year, without a gesture of return, becomes part of what the body translates as silent deterioration. Those who recognize this pattern within themselves, the feeling that the circulatory system accumulates more than it can effectively drain, may find in the manual Healing in Motion somatic cycles designed specifically for this challenge. Foundation Axis I was developed for bodies that reach the end of the day without ever finding a true point of rest. If this resonates with your experience, access to our exclusive guide is available through the first pinned comment. The central practice of this video is a restorative posture known in many somatic traditions as Viparita Karani, the gentle inversion. The body lies on its back, the hips move close to a wall, and the legs rest vertically against it, elevated above the trunk. This geometry changes the physics of venous return. By elevating the legs, the body begins receiving blood from above to below through the effect of gravity, rather than having to push it upward against it. Fluids accumulated in the calves and feet begin passive drainage toward the heart, with less demand on the valves and musculature. The result is often noticeable within minutes, a sensation of emptiness in the legs, increasing lightness, and for many people, a breath that deepens spontaneously. The heart, which has spent the day pumping against peripheral resistance, now receives a facilitated return of circulation and functions as a circulatory altar, the central point to which flow returns before being redistributed. When Andrew Taylor Still wrote that flow and structure are inseparable in the process of vitality, he would likely have described this posture as a restoration of internal architecture. Through Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory, restorative postures communicate a signal to the autonomic nervous system that a state of constant alertness rarely provides: somatic safety. Lying down, elevating the legs, and slowing the breath activate the ventral vagus nerve, the physiological circuit responsible for presence, connection, and deep recovery. Stanley Rosenberg extensively documented how postures that support trunk relaxation and abdominal breathing function as afferent signals of safety to the brainstem. As the nervous system interprets these signals, peripheral vigilance decreases, and the body is permitted to enter a state of genuine restoration. In the Hermetic tradition, the body is regarded as a temple of transmutation, and the heart as the point to which all internal flows return. The Corpus Hermeticum describes dispersion as a condition of imbalance, and the return to the center as a condition for recovering inner power. From this perspective, Elevating the legs and directing blood back toward the heart becomes a concrete alchemical gesture, reversing dispersion, restoring the axis, and returning to the center what gravity has accumulated in the extremities. Now we move into the practice. You will need an empty wall and a comfortable space where you can lie down. 5 to 10 minutes is sufficient. Position yourself when you are ready. Lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet resting on the floor. Move your hips toward the wall until the backs of your thighs make contact with it. Raise your legs and rest them vertically against the wall. Allow the heels to remain relaxed and the feet slightly apart. If the backs of the thighs feel overly tight, move your hips slightly farther away from the wall until you find a position that can be maintained comfortably. With the legs elevated, place one hand over the sternum and the other over the lower abdomen or the solar plexus. Close your eyes. Notice the contact between your back and the floor. Feel the shoulders releasing downward while the legs are supported by the wall. Begin breathing more slowly. Inhale through the nose to a count of 4. Exhale through the mouth with the lips gently together to a count of 6. With each exhalation, allow the abdomen to soften downward. Allow the lower back to settle a little more deeply. Release the jaw, release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. This practice unfolds through 3 internal movements that gradually overlap. The first is positional. The body has been reorganized so that gravity changes from an opponent into an ally. Notice the heels softening against the wall, the calves releasing their habitual contraction, the pelvis yielding gently toward the floor. You may feel a subtle pulsing in the legs or a slight tingling sensation. These are signs that circulation is redistributing. The second is respiratory. With each cycle, imagine that you are returning to the heart what became trapped in the extremities throughout the day: blood, lymph, and retained tension. Inhale as though gathering. Exhale as though offering. The hand resting on the sternum helps the chest recover depth. The hand on the abdomen anchors attention at the center. The third is attentional. Sustain your awareness in the chest and the solar plexus. Observe what the body does on its own when urgency begins to fade. The breath naturally deepens, facial tension dissolves, and the sensation of rushing subsides. Allow the body to shift from a mode of constant management into a mode of return. Remain here for 5 to 10 minutes. To complete the practice, slowly bend your knees while keeping your feet against the wall. Roll onto your side and remain there for a few moments. Then sit up carefully and wait a moment before standing. The nervous system uses this transition period to register the new state as an internal reference. What often emerges afterward has a recognizable quality: less density in the legs, a deeper breath, less pressure in the solar plexus, and a clarity that conventional forms of rest rarely achieve in 10 minutes. Bessel van der Kolk documented that the nervous system stores a bodily memory of chronic states. A body that has operated for years under circulatory overload learns to treat that condition as its baseline. Each time you interrupt that cycle with a ritual of venous return, you teach the system that another state is possible. Repetition is what transforms an isolated practice into a new somatic memory, another way of returning to yourself. William Harvey, who first described systemic circulation in the 17th century, revealed that blood travels through a closed circuit with the heart at its center. Everything departs from the center and returns to the center. When that return occurs with ease, vitality redistributes itself. When return encounters accumulated resistance, the buildup in the periphery begins consuming the resources of the core. Elevating the legs for a few minutes is a way of returning to the center what has spent the day being drawn into the extremities. If this video touched something you recognize within your own body, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so the next video can reach you. Write in the comments, "I reverse the weight of the day and my blood returns to the center. If you would like to continue this process of circulatory restoration, our exclusive guide, Healing in Motion, is available through the link in the first pinned comment. Stay with the channel. Each layer you access here changes the way you receive what comes next. The same force that spent decades pulling your blood downward is the force that now returns it to your heart through a simple wall. The difference is knowing how to position yourself.